Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Traitors RHAP podcast. We're here today to conduct our exit interviews, and with us is the second person murdered from Traitors Canada Season 1. Unfortunate, and we are not happy to be talking to her, but we are here today. I'm your host, Pooya and Brian. With me is my co-host, Brian Scally, and with us is Dr. Nazila. Dr. Nazila, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
How are you feeling right now, as at this hour?
Oh, I was very sad to see myself cry. I was trying to hold it, and it didn't happen.
No, I liked it. It was endearing, a good character moment. Because that would be me. Like, I don't want to leave everybody.
Yeah, you bond so quickly because of these activities, and then when you're just gone, it's unsettling a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of bonding, who did you really feel like you did bond with there? Like, who did you feel like you were working with this season so far?
So I wasn't there too long, as you know. But the good thing was, I think I was I would say me and Mikey would probably been the best faithfuls you could get, because right at the door, I bonded with Mike because I recognized him from his magic show. He was actually at my cousin's wedding. He performed like 6 years ago. So right at the door, I made friends with Mike. So, that was cool. Then when I came in, Dom, instantly we connected. I felt a connection with him. I feel like I could trust him. And that was like right off the bat. And then actually I made friends with a lot of people. Like everybody was really nice, especially because the game hadn't really started. We were just kind of getting to know each other. But the other person was Gurpyar. Gurpyar, the first mission that we were on, Trevon had an asthma attack and he didn't have his puffers, and I'm asthmatic as well. And when he fell, like he literally actually fell right in front of me. So I was on him. To me, it felt like, I don't know, like 30, 40 minutes, but I could be wrong. So while the staff were taking care of him, I gave him my puffers. I mean, he was getting better, but everybody had to kind of stand back, but I was on him the whole time. But he's a big guy. I was trying to put him in a position if he like completely passes out. But long story short, Gurpyar came in after about 15, 20 minutes, and he's like, I'm a nurse, I'll help you. And then so right there, I'm like, I like this guy. He's trustworthy. So my two main ones were Dom and Gurpyar for those reasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, coming into the season, had you watched some of the other Traitors franchises? Were you aware of the show going in?
Oh, absolutely. As soon as I knew I was going to be on the show, I watched all of them. The only one I didn't finish was New Zealand. I just finished New Zealand just to kind of know what I'm getting into, to do my research. So yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but for the second one that we're running, I wasn't sure which one it was going to be. So I brought my hoodie, because there's this one in, I think it's the US one, where they throw bugs at you.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, so I brought my hoodie to crunch it up just in case it was going to be that one.
Wow, the level of prep.
I'm a dentist. I come prepared.
Love that.
It didn't happen. I forgot my puffer, but I remembered my jacket. So it didn't work out for me.
Now, coming in, having seen a bunch of the other franchises of the Traitors, were you hoping to be a traitor yourself, or were you happy with your role as a faithful?
Okay, so because I have no television background, this was my first real thing. I think I would. It's better to be a traitor. You have a better chance of winning. But once I got there, she was going around. I was like, please don't touch me. Like if she touched me, I think I'd pass out, because it was just already so overwhelming. I just wanted her just to go by, so at least I could just be myself. Because like in real life, I'm 1,000% faithful. I don't even know how to lie. So it would have been like a big challenge to be like put on a show and like keep it all in. So I remember when she walked by and she paused behind me, I was like, oh dear Lord, please, please keep walking, because if you touch me, I'm gonna fight. Yeah, so I'm happy to be a faithful. It's fine. Yeah.
So you get the faithful role. You avoid the treachery, the deceit, the lying of a traitor. But who did you think? Who were you feeling suspicious of in those couple days there?
Okay, so I again made a list in my room. time to think. Mel B, right off the bat, like, I knew the time to find out who's a traitor was right when those masks came off, and I'm pretty good at reading people's faces. Maybe because I work in people's faces so much, I really could read her. And her eyebrows were like up, and they were like just standing there like that. I was like, okay, yeah, so she's so for sure I knew Mel B. And I had kind of whispered it to Gurpir, but we were on the fence between Donna and Colin. And in the big group, you can't, I was like, I'm kind of keeping quiet, just kind of go with the flow of the crowd until maybe next round, but I never got to the next round. Yeah, sad.
So if you had gotten to that next round, then how do you think you would have played that differently? You would have gone after someone in particular?
Melissa B, because I knew she was a traitor. That was an easy one.
Did you think that you were gonna get murdered that night, or were you feeling relatively safe?
Okay, so rumor was going around that Erica might have been murdered because she won $1 million, right? And she's a superstar. But that $1 million was, that thing Colin had said, somebody who needs the money should win. So I was like, oh crap, if that's the case, then from the normal people, I kind of had my head stuck out as well, just because we were talking personal life and stuff as well, right? So I thought maybe, then I'm like, nah, that's not gonna happen. Like, everybody likes me. Why would they get rid of me? I wasn't, I didn't ever think people were gonna turn on me, because I'm pretty likable, I think. So I had a lot of trust, and I made a lot of connections very quickly. But my problem was I was hanging out with Melissa B and Mike the whole time. They were always with me. If you even look at the entrance, I'm right with them. Right. So I think they figured me out a little bit. Like, you know what? She if we don't vote her out, she won't go. So that might have been why.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, they talked about, when ultimately discussing your murder, how you were a really good, faithful, people could tell. But also they talked about that challenge where you guys might have struggled a little bit. So what did happen in that challenge?
So this is the thing. In the challenge, Mike and Melissa B were on my team. So, and in the beginning, if you hear Mike said, we just didn't solve the riddle. We literally, the four of us, including we were stumped. I was looking too much into it, thinking we needed to find a shovel. There was no shovel. So if we go to the cemetery, we can't dig them out. And then I think Melissa was saying, this is a trick. We're at the wrong site. So we ran everything backwards twice. We did so much running. So inside our group, we knew it wasn't my lack of athletic skills. I mean, I did a lot of running. I have asthma, so I hate running, but I ran. So it wasn't the speed. It just, we completely stumped on the riddle, and we kept tracing our way back and nothing, right? So, but Kuzi wasn't there, so I can see if she says from that team, 2 of the 4 are traitors. And I do believe, from watching all the traitors, they kind of tend to get the strongest players out first. So my theory was to kind of keep quiet and stay under the radar for a couple. I don't want to talk too much, because I'm just going to be under the radar till it gets a smaller group. But they were on my team all the time, and I kind of knew Mike, and Mike knew my cousin, and I guess they kind of figured out I might be a threat as well, because I might be a little smart.
Is Mike's name now, if another cousin or relative's getting married, or you're like, hey, don't get this guy, do not get this magician, don't do it.
Oh my god, I didn't know about the CIA stuff, man. That was pretty cool.
Yeah got a bit of
but two that just come into your mind is poker player and magician, right? So that part where he did a magic show? That was me. I convinced him to do a magic show, because I'm like, I've seen his show, and I'm like, dude, you got to show me a magic trick. My husband loves magic. Before I go home, I need to learn a magic trick, which was the perfect opportunity for everybody to look at this guy and be like, he just kind of said, I'm not a magician. And he said it so well, but he is a magician. He showed us. That should have been a clue. That was a clue to me. I was like, oh, that's interesting. He wouldn't be a good liar.
At least if the capability is there, yeah. Now, Besides the CIA thing, was there anything watching back that really surprised you to see play out on TV? Maybe different than how you thought it might have played out?
Mm, it was really quick, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So not really. I mean, it's just so fast. I felt bad about Eric. Like I met Erica in the car. I didn't know she was a survivor, but I was like, she's gonna be on my team when I'm gonna go do these athletic things. I'm going on her team. But then she never made it to any of those.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was like, you're so on my team. Remember that.
Well, Dr.
Yeah.
Nazila, this has been an absolute delight. I'm so glad we got to talk to you, and I'm sure quite a few laps, honestly. I now, too, will be looking at Magicians sideways a little bit, potentially. So thank you for giving us your time. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. Take care.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Traitors RHAP podcast. We're here today to talk to the second person banished over here on Traitors Canada Season 1. I'm, of course, your host, Pooya and Brian Scally, with me, my co-host, Brian Scally. And with us today, excited to talk to one Melissa B. Melissa, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Honestly, a little triggered. I got to watch the episode last night, so all of the angry emotions came back, and yeah. So I mean, I feel like I just got banished all over again, but I'm coping. I'm doing okay.
Well, happy to hear you're doing okay. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. It was very sad to see you go, bringing a fun energy to the show. Very much appreciated. Now, when you first came in, I think we probably know the answer, but were you looking to play as a traitor, or were you hoping to play as a faithful on this season?
I was sending the most traitor vibes. I left my house, I left the island of Newfoundland and went to Quebec, and I was just thinking traitor, 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 traitor. The morning of selection, I put these little, I don't know if you saw day one, I had these little piggy tails. That was my symbolism of horns. I wanted to subliminally send messages to Karen. I was like, they need to pick me to become a traitor. I was like, it'll kind of give an innocent vibe, but maybe there'll be some underlying tones of treachery. So it was traitor or bust.
Well, then you get your wish. You get your wish. You are given the traitor role. The blindfolds have to come off. Can you talk us through your feelings as the blindfolds come off and you're like, okay, I gotta pretend to not be excited to have this role right now?
Okay, the blindfolds came off, and I didn't really think about it until after. I was like, later on that day, I was thinking, oh my God, I don't think I changed my breathing. I don't think I was conscious of, I even had to think back and be like, did I make a noise? When she tapped my shoulder, did I squeal? Oh my God, I have no recollection. I blacked out. It was a Snapchat memory moment. It was I don't even know what happened. But realistically in that moment, all I was thinking was, I freaking did it. She just touched my shoulder. I am one of 20 people here. I'm not a reality TV star. I'm this little real estate mom from Newfoundland, and I just became a freaking traitor on the Traitors Canada. So my head was just whirling, as you can tell as the day goes by, and I'm just giddy and so obvious. I just couldn't hide my excitement. I was just happy.
Yeah, it's hard to get past that initial adrenaline. I mean, I can't imagine. It's the only role that I would want to play. I feel like it is definitely tough. Now, when you got to Traitors Tower initially and see who your fellow traitors are, were you super surprised? Were people giving off traitors vibe? Was there anyone else you suspected going into that?
So Mike shocked me. Kuzi, I really did suspect. Me and Kuzi made this at the table when the blindfolds came off, we had this eye contact telepathic moment, I swear to God, because she said to me too, she's like, at the table I clocked you, and I was kind of giving her that same look. But then there was a point in time when right around the time that the first mission after Trevon was okay, he was really worried that he was going to be sent home. And I remember he said something I'm really afraid that they're going to murder me because I missed the mission, or I messed up the mission. And Kuzi said something don't worry, I'll make sure you don't get sent home. And I remember being hold on. But in that moment, I was like, I'm also a traitor. I can't say this. Instead of thinking oh, I should bring this up and sprinkle it around, because even if she is a traitor, who cares? She's not me. my thought process was, I need to wait and see who the traitors were. And then honestly, it just left my mind. I forgot about it. It wasn't until like I think I was out of the manor and I was like, why didn't I say that to people? So yeah, I expected her a little bit, but Mike totally surprised me.
Okay. So then right then and there in the Traitors Tower, when the three of you have to decide on your first murder of the season, you ended up wanting to make a huge statement. You wanted to go for a big name, big game hunting, and y'all ended up landing on Erica. Was there a specific reason that Erica was the final choice here?
So you're talking about the biggest mistake of my game?
Oh,
we should have murdered Kevin. 100%. Full regret from day one. You know, when I became a traitor, I even said at one point, if he's not a traitor, I want to murder him because I'm a huge Big Brother fan. So like murdering Kevin would have been like bucket list, check that off, like so pumped. So we did talk about him a lot. And Kuzi really steered the conversation away from it. She was like, no, like I didn't kind of trust her right away because she didn't tell me who was saying my name. It was very shady. I knew immediately she was lying to me. And then she said that like she was trying to steer the conversation from Kevin. So again, red flags were going off everywhere for me. So I had no trust for Kuzi. She brought up about, I think she said May and Erica. And she kept trying to steer it to May. So I kind of took a hard stance at that point because I was like, okay, she won't let us murder Kevin because Mike was also on board for murdering Kevin. Like Kevin came this close to being murdered, guys. Still regret it. But she kept moving the conversation and trying to get it towards May. So I just put my foot down. I was like, listen, May is going to make her own bed. We are not murdering May tonight. Like, let's bring it back around. I kept trying to go back to Kevin. And ultimately we all agreed on Erica, which did make sense at the time. You know, she was a big winner. She's a mastermind. She's great with people. I figured Kevin would likely have more of a target than Erica and that she'd probably have better relationships than Kevin. So, but it was a mistake.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I mean, look, we talked about how I can agree that like Kevin does pop up as like possibly someone to get voted out. So I get the reasoning. Now you talked about being a Big Brother Canada fan. Were you familiar with most of the other people coming in here as well, or most were maybe a little bit strangers?
I knew Kevin and Kuzi and Rick. I didn't even know Erica. It's so sad. So when we introduced each other and I was like, this little scrumptious headband wearing cute little person I was so in love with her immediately. And then I'm like talking to her and she's like, oh no, I've been on reality TV. Like I was asking those questions and I'm thinking, oh, cool. Like, what were you on? Was it, Masters of Chef, as Dom would say, or like, what was it? And she was like, oh, I was on Survivor. I was like, geez, that's so cool. And I think it was later that day that I had said to her, so how was Survivor? Like, did you make it far? And she just very quietly went, well, I won just this little tiny voice. And I was just like, oh, you are because I don't watch Survivor, obviously, like that's why I didn't know her, but I know the concept of Survivor and I know how hard it is to get anywhere. So the fact that she won then just threw up all the red flags. But those were the only people really other than that. And Rick the Temp. Love Rick.
Of course. We love Rick the Temp too. So your name was coming up quite a bit in that first day. Then Erica gets murdered. In this second round, it really, from where we were standing, it really felt like no one's talking about Melissa. How were you able to keep it under wraps?
I shut up that next day. So when I got to the tower and they told me that my name was being said, I swear to God, like everything just left my body. I was just petrified. I was like, how can people already know me? I'm doing such a great job in my mind. So I had no idea what was going on. So I just thought to myself, okay, you're obviously doing way too much. You need to just shut up. You have 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth, like use them accordingly. So I was really quiet. Going into the round table, I started getting really nervous because that day Crystal started treating me differently. Like she wasn't really looking me in the eye, like the same old thing you hear from all of these contestants when they know that they're going out. So right before the second round table, I got wind that they were going to bring my name up. And I was petrified. I had no idea what to do. So I just shut up at that round table. Halfway through, I think I said some things to defend Donna. I didn't want Donna going home. I had a really good relationship with her. I didn't really want Colin going home either because he believed that I was a faithful, but at the same time, had to get one of them because I couldn't have anybody say my name. So I didn't say much. And then after, that round table, I escaped by and it was, let's plan out for day 3.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you don't want to get rid of either, but I mean, better them than you, unfortunately.
Any day.
No. You also mentioned Crystal. Was there anyone else that you were working with or people that you felt like you were working with, and then all of a sudden they kind of abandoned you a little bit there?
Everybody in the house. No, because I really connected or thought I was connecting with Crystal and Leroy. I really felt like I had good connections with them. That's why you see that stupid conversation with me and Leroy where I'm like, you think I'm a traitor? Like, I was just floored. He was the first person to tell me that he was going to vote for me and that he thought I was a traitor. And he told it to me when I was going to pull him aside. So I was very sketched out by Crystal. So I was going to pull him aside to talk to him about how I didn't really trust Crystal. And when I went to pull him aside, we caught eyes and I was like, what is going on? Like, there's something here. And that's when he was like, I'm voting you out. Like, I think you're a traitor. We had this huge conversation. I started to cry. It was, beautiful, beautiful television. And I was floored. So after that, then I just kind of spiraled a little bit and went, okay, so there's a lot of people saying my name. It's not just a couple. Come to find out that it's pretty well the whole house. And then I had to think, okay, who do I throw under the bus to save myself? Because the only way I was surviving was if more names could get said than mine at the round table. That was it, which didn't happen.
One thing we were thinking about, and we discussed a little bit yesterday on the podcast, was when we go to the round table and the round table begins, Mike opens up shop. Mike is like, hey, the magician's here to open the ceremonies, and immediately talks about you and kind of gives you the runway to defend your name. Was this discussed amongst you? Was this planned ahead of time?
That magical man. No, that was not planned. Freaking magic Mike. I had a lot of thoughts in that moment. So he just sat there and he opened it up and I'm thinking, okay, all right, sure, okay, bring it. Because I was prepared. To be honest, once I knew my name was out there, I wanted to get it out earlier in the day so that it wasn't just at the round table. I wanted to throw other names out there, start crying, maybe make people feel bad for me, try to get some emotions, brought up and make some, I guess, guilt, make people feel guilty to try and keep me. When he said my name, it wasn't planned, but I took it as an opportunity to, okay, well, let's go. I'm going to run with this. I'm going to defend myself.
Yeah, I think you did a good job there, especially. I mean, even Kevin was saying and other people that you really moved the needle a little bit there. It was tough. Now, obviously, we only get to see a certain amount of that round table. Did you feel like this was cut and dry, I am going home, or were the other names really circulating a good amount there?
They were circulating a bit. It wasn't totally cut and dry. There was a lot of back and forth between myself and Crystal at that table. There were some revelations that I put out there of this is why Crystal is a traitor because she said this to that. And then, a couple of people picked up and couldn't believe it, but then also started to kind of suspect her. So there was a lot of back and forth. It's just those roundtables are so long and so much happens. I personally, I don't know if CTV is listening, if you could just take all the roundtables and make it a separate show just on the internet, would we not watch that? It was gold. So, a lot more happened. By the end of it, I was thinking, okay, it's me or Crystal. I knew it was one of us. I felt like it was more towards me. I wasn't sure where Rick's vote was going. There were a few votes that I wasn't Gerline. It wasn't 100% where her vote was going. So there were a few votes that could have been swing votes, but ultimately, the damage was done. I was out of there.
Yeah, I feel like typically in moments like this, you might see the tide, the tide looks like it's already stacked against the one person. But I was very shocked, and I think this is a testament to how well you were able to play it off, where yes, there were people that said, no, Mel B is the traitor, easy done. But what I loved seeing was so many people were like, you know how confident I am you're not the traitor? I'm voting for this person just because I don't think you're the traitor. So I think that's a huge testament to your abilities.
Yeah, I was so pumped. When Dom looked across the table He like, I don't know if it was shown, but he literally looked at me and he yelled it. He was like, that right there is a faithful. Like he was like ready to go. I told Dom, I'm like, I'm not sure if he still believes that I'm a traitor or a faithful yet. Like I'm still waiting for him to tell me because he was one of my favorite people there. No, Dom, Donna, Trevon, May, like I had a good squad. We just weren't all on the same page. Like if I had to realize who my squad was and not be so paranoid about everybody else and round them together to kind of like band together, I feel like I could have done a much better job. But ultimately I got played. If I played like day 2 or day 3, when that blindfold came off, I think I'd still be there. Well, hopefully not now because it's filmed, but I would have.
It's tough. It's tough. Now, let's say you do survive that night. You get to go up to Traitors Tower. You get one more murder. Who are you murdering?
It's so hard because I should have murdered Kevin immediately. And then after that round table, it's like, do I murder Kevin and then put the big target on myself? Is that too obvious? Do I murder him and then play up the traitors are trying to frame me? Oh, do I go with someone? You know what? If I survived and we weren't recruiting, if it was, we all survived, probably Crystal or Leroy. But even then, that's a frame for me. But I just think like, because looking back on it, one of the reasons why I didn't push as hard as I did for Kevin was, okay, if he's saying my name and I push to get this guy out, he's the one who's sprinkling in everybody's ears. So now they're going to look at me. So we didn't murder him. So like going into it further, he's the reason now that I'm brought up at the table. So do I keep him to keep sprinkling my name? But then do I go after somebody else who said my name? And then like Crystal or Leroy, I could say, listen, this is too obvious. They're obviously trying to frame me. Because not doing that to Kevin is what got me there in the first place. So I think at that point I would have just probably skid and just said, okay, screw it. Let's get, probably not Crystal because I did turn some minds on her. So probably would have got Leroy out. Hindsight.
Okay. In the midst of all the excitement, I wanted to ask this in the beginning, but I forgot. Were you very familiar with the Traitors franchise and had you watched any of the other seasons before your own?
I watched Traitors US, Traitors UK, Traitors Australia, which was like a dream. I watched them all. I binged them. I watched them on the plane on my way up before they took all my stuff. I was obsessed. I just didn't really think about how to act. Like I went into the game with this big brother mentality. I was like, I'm just going to create all these friendships and relationships and they're going to like me too much to want to vote me out. But this is a game where you have to like suss out who the murderers are, who are the traitors. So I didn't really think about, getting acting lessons before I left, or maybe watching, a couple of YouTube videos on how to hide your face when you're full of it. So ultimately, I guess, my face gave me away and my constant chit chatter and personality apparently. But yeah, I did watch the show. I was very familiar. I loved it.
Is there anyone from those franchises that you might have wanted to model your game after, ideally?
Well, Sari, obviously.
There you go.
Is there anybody else? When I was in the confessionals and they were, talking to me and what do you need to do? I remember she was talking to me in my head, okay? I was in there and Sari is going, you need to shut up. You need to stop talking. You need to listen. You need to lay back. And she was telling me in my head, and outside me was going, oh, stop it, Sari. I'm fine. I'm fine. And I just wouldn't shut up. So Sari is who I would have loved to play like, but unfortunately I was like an extra hyper Christian. So it didn't work out.
Well, this is all the time we have right now, Melissa. You've been a delight to talk to. We are sad to see you go. So thank you so much for giving us your time. And hopefully we talk to you somewhere down the line about one of these shows.
Call me anytime. Huge fan.
Will do. Thank you so much, Melissa. Hope you have a great day. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.